associate with platform as a service. The fact that there's a framework that developers can use to pull applications together, and the framework provides them some set of services that they can use or build into their applications. The other characteristic that is equally important but isn't thought of quite as much is the idea of abstraction. And that concept of abstraction is mostly relevant if you think about that three-layer cloud stack that we've heard and seen on slides throughout the day, the idea of infrastructure as a service on the bottom, platform as a service in the middle, and application or SaaS on top. And so that what that platform does is it abstracts all of the underlying infrastructure stuff at the bottom. So we've got two products. One is called Cloud IQ Manager that really provides that abstraction really in the form of application deployment and management across an underlying infrastructure. And the other product is called Cloud IQ Engine, and that is that framework that's used by the developers, the architects, in building out their cloud applications. Our customers tend to be in government and commercial enterprise, a lot of stuff in DoD and intelligence. FedEx is a big customer of ours that has built a massive logistics application for FedEx Express on the platform. But I'd like to, in this platform, kind of talk about, or in this setting, talk about kind of the implications of abstraction, of framework, and how we can allow folks to take advantage of cloud platforms without kind of leaving everything behind. A lot of our enterprise customers want to utilize the investments that they've made in existing technologies, but get some of the advantage of cloud. And I think that's
successive generation.
And what was the
for a long time?
The issue that we as technologists should be taking with kind of the comment that I could run Salesforce in a mainframe is really getting back to one of the fundamental questions of cloud, which is cloud a set of technologies or is cloud a business model, right?
I don't think it's either. I think it's user experience.
Well, if Salesforce was a nice user experience on top of a mainframe, then I think what a lot of people think of as kind of the essential power of cloud, taking kind of taking a set of best practices around the way Google's architected their systems, the way Amazon's architected their systems, and making those available for for lots of people to build systems around. I think it's missing that fundamental aspect. I don't think it's the same thing.
Well, we probably couldn't deliver the elasticity
to move the data between apps.
Maybe, but market forces are going to have to drive the standards, because standards without very, very clear need are going to flounder. And what's going to have to happen is people building good aggregations of apps to serve small business or consumers are ultimately going to run into such clear problems with this that I think that's going to be the driving force. And I think we're starting to see it a little bit, because if you go to the top 10 SaaS apps, and if I were a small business today and bought all 10 of them, I would be in that situation we just described. And so now in what shape do we have to have standards to fix that? And who's going to fix it?
In some ways, the leverage.
The traditional view of standards is that those standards tend to come from the bottom up. And what we're talking about here requires really a common way of looking at the data, and that's going to take a lot longer, and it's going to happen in a very domain-specific way. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like going back to the late 90s and some of the B2B exchanges and coming up with common ways to model the data and having the different providers hook into those common data models.
And personally, I think that really needs a Switzerland. It needs someone to stand up and kind of advocate for the users that isn't being the focus.
Or arguably move one level still higher and not have merely data standards, but process description standards and initiatives like BPEL, because I believe the direction of something like a BPEL is very positive, and I wish that we had a bigger role, frankly, in the BPEL conversation. Others, I believe, are big.
With our product, we expose a number of infrastructure and application level metrics via REST APIs, and one of the interesting things we're seeing is what are essentially management mashups, right? That's kind of what we're talking about here. Folks taking those REST APIs and maybe they don't like our console for whatever reason, or they want to pull that data into an existing console in the enterprise. That openness and being able to provide that data in a form that's consumable, all REST APIs over HTTP, is a very powerful idea, and I think that's what you're suggesting kind of apply to some of the public providers and app providers. That sounds good, but just as a end user of Gmail, a lot of it is just the lack of visibility into what's going on and what they're doing to fix it. And that lack of visibility is, to our benefit as a company that kind of arms enterprises to build private clouds, one of the big motivators. They could do the compare and contrast and find that, their email would be down, less if they were in a cloud, but it's, even if Gmail had a dashboard, does that dashboard tell them exactly what's going on at any given time to try and, try and bring the system back up? Does it go into mean time to repair? These are all things that in the enterprise they'd be accountable to the business. And we've got a long way to go before the public clouds are able to provide that level of visibility. I mean, granted, a different issue from the this end user, small business, individual, and the enterprise, but that it's kind of like you can compare it to being stuck in traffic, right? You go 2 times out of your way, spend too much time kind of taking side streets to kind of go around it because you just don't know what's up there causing the backup, and you don't know how long it's going to take, and you just feel like you're more in control if you're kind of driving the side streets. Very clear, not all control issues are kind of emotional perception issues. There are very real issues around litigation and discovery and security that are very real issues for enterprise users.
Absolutely.